Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to do a book series review on The Lord of the Rings. I love that series, and I actually did a separate review for each book on my website. I think the last one's going up tomorrow. So I thought I'd do all three of them in one video here on YouTube to make life easier for, me and myself and I and everyone else. Okay, so before we do that, please like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below so that you can get notified whenever I put new book content up. And also subscribe to my email list. I think that one's like the most important one because that's where you get like all my info, like blog posts, YouTube, all that will go through the email list. So I'll put a link in the description below for that as well. Okay, let's jump right into it. So if you don't know, if you have no idea, I've never read Lord of the Rings before, it consists of 3 books. It's The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King. And I gotta say, I love these books. I think, no, Lord of the Rings was not my introduction to fantasy, though it is a lot of it. Like for older people, it is the introduction to fantasy. The fantasy is like a huge thing right now still. Though like waivers, people still love fantasy, and Lord of the Rings is probably like the best of it. I just have to say it is. There's a lot of other books that are really good, like Harry Potter, and I can just name a ton. But I think Lord of the Rings is one that does it best. J.R. Tolkien is just amazing at description and putting you in the story and all that. But I digress. Let's talk about the story first. We have our unlikely protagonist named Frodo Baggins, who is the nephew of Bilbo Baggins from The Hobbit. The Hobbit is slightly connected to this, but it's not that important to read it, though I love The Hobbit as well. I definitely recommend reading that one first. But my point is, you start off with Frodo Baggins, and he gets a ring from his uncle. It is pretty much his inheritance. He gets all his stuff and his ring, and this ring. And this ring ends up being a very powerful ring that can give power to the most evil sorcerer named Sauron. So Sauron is now trying to take over Middle-earth, and this little guy has to take the ring and destroy it. He has to take it all the way to Mordor, where Sauron is at, and he has to throw it into Mount Doom, which is like a volcano where Sauron created the ring. So he's pretty much, the whole book series is about him traveling all the way over there, and there's a bunch of characters that are just amazing. Frodo is obviously amazing in himself, and you have Aragorn, who's well, actually it's first we start off meeting him with named Strider, and he helps Frodo. You have Gandalf the Wizard, who pretty much guides him as well. It's just so great. Sam, like his best friend, so good. Anyway, so the whole point of the story is him going to Mordor and taking the ring and destroying it before Sauron could find him, and if he gets the ring, he pretty much can take over Middle-earth. So that's the whole point, right? My favorite part are obviously the characters. The characters are amazing. If I had to like name my favorite characters, it'd probably be Sam, because he's so sweet, and he is such a caring and takes care. He's so caring. He takes care of Frodo so well, and he helps him through this whole journey. He's the one that's like right next to him the whole way. That's why I love him. Obviously, I love Aragorn because he's like the epitome of like a man to me. Like okay, maybe there's like Jesus Christ, but in fantasy world, it's him. He becomes, oh, I don't want to give it away if you haven't read them, but he is like the best character. He goes through the whole thing, and he has the biggest like change through the whole series. Same thing with Gandalf. I think he's great, though he's so mysterious that sometimes he gets annoying, but I still like him. Yeah, I still like him. I think he's so awesome. The friendship between Gimli and Legolas is also something that I really enjoy. It's like elves and dwarves. Gimli is a dwarf, Legolas is an elf, and normally their races don't get along, but these two at first did not, and eventually they get so close that they become best friends, and Legolas does a lot of things for him, which is really cool. So the characters are awesome in the books. Now, do I recommend for anyone just to read this? Probably. It depends like on your level of reading, like how hard you want to read, because some of the description can be heavy. When I first read these books, I was like, oh, like, whew. I read them when I was it high school? No, I think I got out of high school when I read these books, and it was like a heavy load of description like on this. I was quite shocked by how much it is, and I was, even when he was describing things, my mind would just wander. So if you're not like heavy on description, maybe you want to hold off on this a little bit, but it's still a very fantastic series. If I had to rate this, I would probably rate it like 5 out of 5, obviously, because it's just so good. Like the movies in themselves are also very well done. Like Peter Jackson is just brilliant in the film industry, and he was able to take these books and make them into films. Obviously some things were changed, like Arwen was given a bigger role in the movies than in the books, which honestly is fine with me. I thought she should have had a bigger role in the books anyways, but just like certain little things were different. But besides that, it was pretty much stuck to the book. The movies pretty much stuck to the book, and it was great all around. The books were amazing and the movies are amazing, and I think the casting was brilliant. Like Legolas, played by Orlando Bloom, was fantastic. Who else? Frodo Baggins. Maybe they could have like casted a little bit older, but I think Elijah Wood was still very good for the part. Same with Samwise. They chose a perfect person for that. So anyway, the whole thing, I loved all of them. The story in itself is very well paced. I would say you're pretty much always on your toes wondering what's gonna happen, as in the beginning right away you're feeling the fear because Frodo's being chased by these I think they're called the Nine, from like Sauron's main, the ring wraiths, that are pretty much looking for the ring through Hobbiton, which is where Frodo's from, and you're just fearing, like hoping that they get away as fast as they can. Though it does take a little while to get there, but eventually you're just pretty much in the chase trying to figure things out and hoping that they get away. And eventually the Fellowship is created. But either way, my point is, it is pretty much very well paced, where you're not bored, like at all. You're never bored, and the story is not lacking in any point. You're pretty much on point each time. The ending of the book is definitely different from the movie. Obviously in the movie it ends with Aragorn becoming king and Frodo leaving. I shouldn't have said that, but anyway, they become king. I'm sorry, I should have said spoiler alert. But I mean, they're really old books. So my point is, it ends there. In the books they all, there's like a little mini battle in Hobbiton. That's like the only difference. Well, not the only difference, but a pretty big difference. And I think they did it well, how they were able to cut it off and fix certain little plot points that they were able to fix in the movie to make it fit into a movie and not make the movie like longer than it already was. It was like 3 hours long. Obviously the right way to watch it. Watch the 3-hour version, not the cut version. I mean, what's his name doesn't even die in that movie. In that shortened version. Who's his name? Saruman. Saruman doesn't even die. So, or they don't show him dying. So, what? Like, how can you not have him? Like, it makes no sense. It would make no sense to me to watch the shortened version. So the longer version makes a lot of sense, and all the pieces are connected. The point is, watch the movie's extended version, and if you want to get into fantasy, I think this is a good book. If you already read like slightly harder books, if you just read YA, maybe this is a good introduction for you into, you know, harder books. I mean, they're such good books. I will always recommend them. They're so great. I try to read them every year, but Sometimes it's hard. Like I try to read Harry Potter every year, but you never know. Anywho, I love these books. I highly recommend them. Let me know if you have read them down below. If you agree with all my plot points, what do you like best about the books? My favorite thing about the books is that it's such an unlikely protagonist, that Frodo is just so random. That he's not someone that would actually be on a great adventure like this. So that's what I love about the books the most. Okay, so let me know all that down below, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye guys.